Our guest for today is the former MD CEO of GSK PLC, USC Foods. He's a man who is an investor in the pharmaceutical industry and currently eyeing the governorship position in. Ladies and gentlemen, a big round of applause for Mazi, Chidi, Okoro.
Thank you.
Yes. Good to have you here today. It's becoming a trend now where people serve at the high level in corporate organizations, achieve results, then they go into politics. It's becoming a trend. So is it also your story, or there's something more to your own decision?
Yeah, thank you very much, Okey. I think as Nigerians, we should be more interested in politics because political leadership determine whatever happens to us. But let's give you a few statistics to see why we should even be more interested. Unemployment, 34-35%. Yeah. Youth unemployment, 60% plus. 15 million children out of school. Children get kidnapped from schools. If we all keep quiet, it will get worse. And the future, the prognosis for the future is even more interesting because a lot of African countries are leaving us behind. If we do nothing, it could be complicated. I'm not leaving a corporate world for politics only. Politics should be part of our lives. We should all be involved, number one. Number two, I'm leaving to play in the pharma sector, which is my base, which is my family business. And I'm interested in vying for the governorship position because I think I'm pretty well prepared. I think that our state needs, even our country, do need thinker workers as against emperors, rulers, and messiahs. I think we need to try to drive that shit. And I think I'm a thinker worker.
How do we make sure that this demographic that is very active on social media, but not very active when it comes to the day of casting their ballots, how do we transfer this energy on social media into results, in politics? How do we do that?
I think the world is changing, and it's something that we also have to be aware of. Social media is relatively new. Nigeria has 92 million people on internet, 7 million on Twitter, 16 million on Facebook. I think over time, this will start to actually translate. But no one has clear statistics that the guys on social media do not vote. It's all assumption. I think Nigeria lives on assumption. I think social media can mobilize the people and really move them to take action. It informs. We're more informed than ever. So we have to give a lot of credit to social media. How do we mobilize them to get involved? I think it's getting to that point where all of us should be politicians. No one should mobilize us.
I agree with
all of us should get involved because we are in a hard place, and we'll be in a harder place in the future if we do nothing about that.
Well, it's becoming very, very interesting. Don't even go away because if you go, you will miss a lot. We'll be back shortly. Yes, you're still watching the other news, and I'm still here with my guest, Mazi, Chidi, Okoro. If you're just joining us, please stay with us. It's becoming more engaging. Now, considering the situation politically and otherwise, what are the politicians not doing right? Why are we failing?
Yeah, I will look at Imo State. And Imo State is part of Nigeria. It signifies so many things wrong with Nigeria as well. In 2013, I wrote a book, Another Perspective. And there were hypotheses I had there. And one of them was that we have a bigger problem with incompetence than corruption. And so I'm still waiting to be proved wrong. We do have leadership in our state who think that education is still about brick and mortar when everyone is going digital. They still believe that Medicare is about brick and mortar when you do have web doctor emerging. The last 20 years of our democracy, we've had emperors, we've had rulers. We never really had thinker worker come in to really try to set the tone for a great future. I think that's why I think I have to get in the race.
Considering your business background, you're a man who is vast in business, and from your statistics, the way you reel out statistics, I'm sure people are listening and they are quite impressed. Nigeria recently decided to postpone their signing of the Continental Free Trade Agreement, recently. we are bidding time. Are you sure we are going to meet that one? Is it 160-day deadline?
Yes.
You know, what does it portend for us? What economically and otherwise, what does it look for us if we sign, if we don't sign?
It's interesting. Again, I speak about some of the things that ail us. You know, number one, Africa has 10% of Africa's trade. Only 10% is inter-Africa. That's a surprise. In Asia, you do have 50, 60, 70%. I've worked in companies where I try to move goods from Nigeria to Ghana. You cannot believe what goes on. Or move goods. It's easier to move goods from China into Nigeria or into Ghana than move from Nigeria to Ghana, which is 45 minutes by air, 8 hours by flight.
Seriously?
And you do have the ECOWAS Pact. So in on the CFTA, which is the Continental Free Trade Area Agreement, yeah. Nigeria is a country of vested interest. And we're bidding, and there's nothing wrong with consultation. The presidency said they want to consult for that. I think Manufacturers Association came out to say this could cause loss of jobs. And the president thinks that we have to protect our jobs and protect the industry. And nothing wrong with that. Providing the guys we are protecting are given time to build up capability and muscle to compete in Africa. Because eventually you have to open up the borders. You have no choice. And I speak about incompetence and lack of awareness because I've had a chance to run a company in Africa. You know, Suntry, I was the MD for Africa. And I travel around. Nigeria has capability they don't even know. Because many of these African countries manufacture nothing, silage. And we do have some industries.
Do we manufacture anything?
We do package things.
Package?
Yes, and that's called manufacturing. Okay. And there are some areas, there are some of our industries that can actually compete across the value chain. And I've seen some of them, and I'm speaking with a couple of them, because one of the things I'm also going to do is to try to take our companies into Africa. Why compete for 195 million people when you can compete for 1 billion people? Exactly. Providing Nigeria understand that if we protect our industries, that they build the capability to compete over time, because you cannot protect them forever. That's one. Providing we are aware that South Africa is waiting to tidy up legal agreement before they sign. They will sign, and if they sign, they will attack this 1 billion market, people market, and we may not be ready for that. I agree, let's take time, but let's be sure there's a lead time to sign off. If we do not sign, there are consequences. We won't see it today. It will come in the future.
Okay, so it's an agreement we have to sign. And we have to sign within the 160 days deadline.
Absolutely.
Either way. Okay. As somebody who you were able to build your career from ground to MD, there are lots of Nigerians who are every day busy, you know, dropping CVs here and there, you know, hoping that one day that dream job. In fact, we're not even talking about dream jobs anymore, because those jobs only exist in your dreams.
Absolutely.
Now people just want jobs to survive.
That's why it's called dream job.
Yeah, people just want jobs to survive. So for young people who are busy distributing CVs and hoping, do you have any special advice for them? I'm looking at how, you know, things have turned out and people are getting frustrated every day. What do you say to a young man who's pushing CV here and there and everywhere?
I think a few things to put on the table. Number one, it's easy to stand out in Nigeria as a young person because getting to meeting on time, prepared, properly dressed, stands you out. It's easy. And I encourage the young ones to be aware of that. Just be aware of that. You know, what skills you need to stand out. That's the first one. Number two is you got to learn beyond your field. I have a friend who is, he used to work in one of the major paint industries. So he told me that his son is a medical doctor. But he makes more money from painting because while in medical school, he was learning how to paint. So learn, build skill, and be ready to take on jobs where you don't get paid. That's called delayed gratification. That's one thing that I also encourage people. Have your feet on the ground. One big challenge we have in a workplace, we cannot think complete, not right or wrong. We think quick, not either right or wrong, but we are not complete in thinking. You have to understand, gain that skill to think complete and be able to execute. You know, we can say stuff on the table, we can make plans, but we don't step out to do them. So if you can do those, I think you stand out. But standing out in Nigeria for a young person is pretty easy, but it's very complicated because the jobs are not there.
Wow. You know, listening to you talk is like being in a lecture room and taking lectures. You know, I wish I could be taking notes and talking to you. It's been very, very rewarding. And I'm sure some Nigerians watching this program and hearing you talk will be thinking, this man is too serious. You know, look at statistics, talking about numbers and everything. What do you do when you're not doing serious business? Because you look very, very serious. Like,
Yes.
In fact, I feel like giving you this country now to say, oh yeah, manage it. Okay? Okay, but what do you do when you're not this serious?
I do many things. I'm just a father, a husband, a brother. You know, so that's all I am. I'm not MD. I'm not serious. I play football until 2 years ago. I had
we all love soccer. The World Cup is around the corner.
Absolutely, I love football. I follow 2 football clubs, one here, one over there. Okay. And I do read a lot. I like to read and learn.
It's been a wonderful interview. I know you want to start from the governorship position. If we cross that hurdle, are we thinking president as well?
Anything can happen. Nigeria is a great country, but it can only get great if we have great people trying to manage it and give it.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chidi Okoro. It's been amazing talking to you.
Thank you very much.